One of the key complaints fans of the original game have about Plants vs Zombies 2, and then in turn fans of PvZ2 have about PvZ3, is the changing art style. Me personally, I much prefer the rounded appearance of the plants in the sequel than the adorable but jagged style of them in the OG, and the plants that did undergo a major makeover have also had mixed results. Some worked well like Tangler, others not so much like Imitator. Regardless, the game's many returning and new plants overall have very simple, sleek designs that fit the game's cartoony nature. However, a minority of them are not particularly visually appealing, and in this video I'm listing the 10 ones who are completely cursed in the looks department. I'm Gold Ninja Vlogspot, let's get started, and with that now I need to fix my hair. Starting off the list is Primal Pea Shooter. I could see this one being debated, and while I get he's supposed to look old, the other primal plants were way more creative. This one just looks like a craggy, raggedy, sick old man. I feel they could have done much more with him. I wouldn't have minded a different colour scheme. Hell, this guy was only added to the game shortly before Garden Warfare 2 came out, so by that point they could have drawn from Rock Pea's design and made him brown. Yeah, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Rock Pea, but maybe he'd look better in a tower defense game given they got his colour right. It's just that with his shape, he just resembles feces in a 3D console game. Also, it's worth pointing out the Primal Pea Shooter's costumes are absolute ogle. 9 is Lightning Reed. Now this inclusion definitely isn't going to have people accusing me of bias just because I've not exactly been kind to this guy in the past. But the thing is, he's just so skinny. He's lanky to the point of looking like he takes up a third of the tile. Like when the Reed mains insist on spamming him, optimal strategy, they swear, the lawn looks nowhere near as complete if you do the same with someone like Fume Shroom or Starfruit. Yes, he's supposed to be a Reed, which is thin IRL, but they didn't have a problem making the Snapdragon into a dragon rather than an actual Snapdragon. The Reed only looks like he's actually big enough when he uses the lantern costume, and speaking of costumes, most of his are trash too. I remember his original one, the Lampshade, being so bad that people on the PvZ wiki were super miffed at EA because they hated the costume, and at that point you couldn't take the costumes off. So yeah, it looks like EA bad, Popcap good is nothing new. Number 8, Electricity. So now take a plant that's basically a really crappy hybrid of Lightning Reed and Exploding Nut, make his design essentially the former, but take a massive dump on him. In their attempt to make a tea plant, they pretty much just made Lightning Reed into a turd. There's not really much more I can say about this guy. Too small, too brown, too crap. Literally. 7th spot goes to Citron. Now this one's kind of unfair given that I never had much of an issue with his design when he first came out. But hindsight being what it is, his transformation in Garden Warfare 2 is a huge upgrade. Going from a limbless orange to a badass futuristic fighter is a radical change. It's like when the fat girl from your high school, or secondary school as us Brits would say, slims down and becomes a supermodel. But in his debut game, Citron feels a little hilarious to look at. Even when he's not charged a ball he looks pretty awkward. I mean, at least the charged plasma ball he shoots out when boosted looks cool. Still mad they nerfed it though. 6 is the Broccoli. This one on the other hand is just way too big to the point he practically covers up plants on the tile above him. It was pointed out on Reddit how ridiculously large and out of place he looked in comparison to other plants. And yeah, with how much he shield plants, literally, he might as well be a vine. A very oversized one, so I'd probably still complain, but hey, anything's an upgrade over this ugly vegetable that looks like a bok choy injected with venom. 5 is Hot Date. Do you ever just want to punch a plant in the face? Well, I would if it didn't mean I was going to get burned alive. His similar counterpart, the Sweet Potato, is at least cute. She's certainly inoffensive. This guy just looks vomit-inducingly goofy. I get it, he's supposed to be this weird, stereotypically charming creature. Literally a hot date, but who needs stereotypes in 2022? Or even the year that this guy came out. He's also equipped with a really lame dicky bow that looks like a leaf he's taken a bite out of. Also, the constant flashing hearts above his head only make things worse. Overall, screw off Hot Date, you're a good character, but a very punchable one too. Number 4 is the Sling Pea, the third ever seedium plant introduced to the game and a huge step down from the first two, Shadow and Goo Pea Shooter. He ain't bad for sure, but considering how good those two guys are, pea-based seedium number 3 is... well, he kind of fades to the back. In fact, I still haven't obtained him to this day. However, the worst part about him is easily his design. Not only is he just stinky, but he literally just looks like if somebody trod on a pea pod, and now you will never see it any other way, I guarantee it. I wouldn't be surprised if they just based his design on a pea pod, except only one of the heads is alive. Also, I'm irrationally intrigued by the fact he's a pea shooter, yet he lobs his shots. That just doesn't bode well for me at all. Could you imagine a straight shooting Colonel Polt? Oh wait, that's Colonel Core from Garden Warfare 2. Tumbling into the top 3 is Gravebuster. A pretty predictable placement on this list because the common belief is complete redesign from the first game was a bad one. Despite how much I strongly dislike the original Gravebuster in regards to functionality, one thing I'll always speak him up for is that his design is awesome. His strong resemblance to the Graves was a slick touch, and his animation of chipping away at the Graves is way cooler than in PvZ2 where he drags them to the ground. Some people do argue with a popular opinion saying that the second Buster looks better because he looks like an actual plant, but it's said that the first Buster is supposed to be a petrified tree stump, and besides, his dark appearance speaks this snotty, mushy clump of vines that they decided Gravy Bee should be in the second game, but hey, at least there's an improvement to his bust speed. Number 2, the Tomb Tangler. The most recent plant on the list, and some may argue the reason this list exists, and deservedly so, because what in the green, brown and pink hell is this freak of nature? The spiritual successor to the Gravebuster that nobody asked for might just bear the most unnecessary complex design in PvZ history. Dude looks like a severely mutated character from My Singing Monsters, and continues the game trend of making new plants look ludicrously complex, a far cry from PvZ2's simplistic art style. Rubarbarian, Hocus Crocus, and now this. Like, you can't even tell what the hell Tomb Tangler's meant to be. He looks like a giant twisted tree with 2 mouths, a smiley one at the top, and then a huge monstrous one at the bottom, which I guess swallows graves, but it just looks wrong. He gets more unnatural the further down you go. I hate his details, I hate his texture, I want to set fire to it. Before we get to number 1, I have a few honourable mentions, or in this case, horrible mentions. First of all, Tiger Grass. I feel bad for including this one because it was largely designed by long-time Popcap representative and frequent contributor to the PvZ subreddit. But the thing is, this plant looks cool when a tiger's shooting out of it. However, on its own, it's just a bland clump of grass. It completely throws away the typical anthropomorphic nature of plants. Secondly, Macadamia Nut. When powered, he's pretty cool, but on his own, he's just a boring cutesy nut that is so small he has me reach for my glasses and I don't even wear any. And third and last up, Spikeweed. This might be a surprise as I really like this plant, but appearance wise he's just so vanilla. Like, the difference when wearing a costume versus without is like night and day, even if I do think it looks better than in the first game. Still, he's totally bossed by not only his Garden Warfare counterpart, but by PvZ2's own Spikerock, who's ballsy and badass and metal. But hey, at least you can make him into Groucho Marx. And number 1 is the Puffball. The goddamn Puffball. What in tarnation is this ugly purple thing? Well, believe it or not, a puffball is an actual organism. Specifically, a fungus that bursts on impact and releases spores, much like he does in game. So a decent plant, but you know Goopy shit from Shadow Stream's plant food exists, right? Is that why he looks so unreasonably irate? Then again, I'd be the same if I bared resemblance to an infected scoop of lavender ice cream. There's literally no reason for him to be even more purple than the average Garden Warfare 2 map. At least the other purple mushroom or poisonous plants effectively integrated this element into the designs, rather than just chucking blackberry jam at a land-bound blobfish and then calling it a day. He's most definitely the ugliest plant Popcap have released to this day, and therefore he is number 1 on my list. That's it for this video. What do you think are the worst looking plants in the game? Tell me in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video, and if you'd like to chat with fellow viewers, join the Golden Ninja Vlogspot Discord.